Here I am at Arlington National Cemetery. These are the front gates. This is a little bit of the view I'm seeing. And I'm thinking about several things. Honor, tragedy, respect, remembering. That's what I'm thinking about. We haven't even started in really to the place where you can see the most of it. This is just at the edge. For those of you who don't know much about Arlington, it started out as a private plantation, owned, incidentally, by the step-grandson of George Washington. His daughter, the grandson's daughter, married Robert E. Lee, and through a series of events, when Robert E. Lee resigned his commission in the mansion, which is called Arlington House, which is at the top of the hill, then the federal government took it because the Lees had gone south and they couldn't pay the taxes, or the federal government wouldn't accept them during Civil War time, so the federal government bought it at auction. Years later, one of the family members of Lee sued and won, and the government settled with him. But he could have taken it back, but he didn't want it. Also, it began as a potter's field. There was no honor to be buried here. Originally, they were looking for somewhere to put the indigent and the soldiers from the war that had no other place to go. And that's how Arlington started. I've now moved a little further into the cemetery from the gate, and you can get a glimpse of the Arlington Mansion through the trees. I'm going to do a 360 panoramic so you can get some idea of where I'm at. And while I'm doing that, let's think about the subject of honor and tragedy and remembering. Wow. In our lives, all of us are going to experience some tragedy. Okay? But the beautiful thing is that our God said we would not go through it alone. He said He would never leave us or forsake us. And as you look out here and think of the families that each of these stones represents, and we're probably, maybe this might be a 16th of the cemetery where we're at right now. Right up there, if you can see it, through the trees is the Arlington House. But our God said He would never leave us or forsake us. It's a beautiful thing. Notice in the background, behind the kids, you'll see some soldiers practicing, getting ready for a 21 gun salute. There are approximately 20 funerals a day that take place at Arlington.
Psalm 139 tells us that each one of us, including this young child who died as an infant, was wonderfully made and knit together in our mother's womb, and God's hand was upon us during that process. We do not understand why a child lives its life and be cut short. There's many other things in life that we do not understand as well.
ceremony that you are about to witness is an Army reclaim ceremony to be conducted by Central Christian School. Thank you. Present. Hold.
A wreath is laid, gravesides visited, tragedy and honor, the two go hand in hand. Everyone will face tragedy in this life. God did not promise us an easy road, but He did promise He would never leave or forsake us. Sometime today, when you get a chance, read the following verses. Romans 8:18, Romans 8:38 through 39, and Hebrews 13:5 through 7. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is found in 1 Thessalonians 4:13. Talks about how we as Christians do not sorrow as those who have no hope, because our hope is in Jesus Christ and His sure and certain return for those who have accepted Him. Our hope is that someday we will live in heaven for eternity with Him. And it's not a hope like we think of hope nowadays. I hope for this. I hope for that. It's a for sure, certain fact that's going to happen. So I really like that verse. And as I stand here in Arlington, watch the plane cut across the sky and hear the booms and look all around me at the sacrifice that's been given for me in this country, I think of the sacrifice that Christ gave. And I think, remember, freedom is not free. Benjamin Franklin had a really nice quote that I'd like to read to y'all. And this is what he wrote for his epitaph, for what was to be written on his tombstone. The body of Benjamin Franklin, printer, like the cover of an old book, its contents torn out, stripped of its lettering and gilding, lies here. Food for worms. But the work shall not be lost, for it will, as he believed, appear once more in a new and more elegant edition, revised and corrected by the author. When you get a chance to comment on this, I would like you to think about what has impacted you the most today. Something you've seen on the trip, something you've read in the scripture, or something you've just thought about today. Tell us about what has impacted you. See you next time.